Today I'd like to speak about the unfortunate closure of the Unity College at Spring Head at the end of this year and pay tribute to its extraordinary history over nearly 150 years. Originally Spring Head School and then the Spring Head Trinity Lutheran Primary School, the name by which most people, most old scholars, most people in the community knew the Spring Head Lutheran School. This school in Mount Torrens is the second oldest Lutheran school in Australia, an extraordinary history, and unfortunately it will close its doors at the end of this year. We hope not forever. Unfortunately, though, demographics, the state of the economy, the cost of running a school has, for the moment at least, meant that the Spring Head Lutheran School will not be able to continue. However, I want to pay credit to everybody who works there, continues to work there for the rest of this year, the student body, the staff, the parents and the Lutheran Schools Association who have been providing support for this school over many years. The school was founded in 1856 with a head teacher, Mr. Hammer, followed by Pastor I, and then the following year, from 1857 to 1866, Mr. Ferdinand August Andrea, who established the tenure of the school for years to come. When I visited the school, in fact, they still have a photo of August Andre and the school as it was at the time with all of the students. And he's a very striking individual, and one can imagine the austere times and the benefit that this school leader, this early South Australian school leader, took to those students and the strong foundations he built for the school. The school was, of course, in 1917 closed by an Act of Parliament as a school where German was a language spoken, and during the First World War the Parliament, of course, closed a number of schools. However, we are happily the school reopened in 1931 under the leadership of Mr. R.T. Schuler. I pay tribute to the most recent principals and head teachers, Mrs. Tori Weiss, Mr. R. Williams, Ms. Rebecca Heinges, Mr. Andrew Bosch, and now currently the head teacher, Julie Mariner, who does a marvellous job, along with her staff, Dusk O'Brien, Steve Hazy, Kathy Dewars, Ros Schubert and Jennifer Stewart, a number of whom have been teaching at the school for decades. And it is very important that it is noted in this Parliament that these staff are doing an excellent job. It's a challenging time for them. They're all looking for new positions as well, but I'm sure that they will find new positions and continue to be able to teach, whether in the Lutheran school system or in other schools around South Australia. Of course, many of them are local to the Mount Torrens area, so that does make their job a bit harder. We also note that there are 33 current students who will be going forth into new schools next year. They face new challenges. Their families face these challenges with them, and I pay tribute to those families. I'm sure that they will do an excellent job, but it is a challenge, and we pay tribute to the work they're doing. I pay tribute also to the work of the School Council, chaired by Mr. Jeff Sander. The facility in this community is a significant asset. It's a beautiful school. It's beautifully situated. We hope that this facility will be maintained for educational purposes and available for the community in the future to potentially even open a new school, or should I say reopen the Spring Head Trinity Lutheran Primary School again in the future if more favourable times arise demographically. I also want to pay tribute to the old scholars. One old scholar who attended for all of her primary school tuition in the 1980s wrote to me that this news is incredibly sad for generations of old scholars in and around the Mount Torrens community. It can't be an easy thing for a school which would be so fondly remembered and so favourably looked upon, and which provided such a foundation for so many people to succeed in life. It can't be an easy thing to note that that school is closing. Unity College at Murraylands has stepped in over the last year to assist the school to try and stay feasible, but it hasn't been able to continue past the end of this year, and we are sorry for that. We pay tribute in this Parliament to its proud 147 years history, everyone who has worked there, everyone who has nurtured young minds and helped them on the road to a strong future. We pay tribute to them, and I thank the members of the school community for their continued optimism, their continued encouragement of these students who they still have in their care for another 2 terms. I look forward to a strong future for them all, and hopefully one day in this Parliament marking the reopening of the Spring Head Lutheran School.